This video I'm gonna make is about replacing the motor mounts in an old Nissan Sentra like this one. Since I can't find any videos on YouTube that does it, I just have to make one myself, and we're gonna figure it out together. Okay, as you can see here, these are all the new motor mounts I have for this car. I bought these a while ago, like maybe more like a few years ago, when I first got this car. So here is the transmission mount. And this is the side motor mount. It goes right here on the side of the engine. And these are two identical motor mounts that go in the front and in the back. And this one, this weird looking one, goes in the back beneath the engine. This will probably be the most difficult one to try to fish out of there, but we'll see. And here's the current state of some of these motor mounts. I don't know if you can see that good, but this one's wiggling. It's not good. Here is the transmission mount. Can't see it real good, but in the back here, yeah, this motor mount here is just flopping around because the bottom bolt came loose. Yeah, right there. And the other motor mount on the bottom, you can't even see, you have to get underneath the car. Here I have the service manual showing me the location and the torque specs for all of these motor mounts. I think I'm going to replace the easiest ones, which would be these, starting in the front. Oh, I forgot to mention, see this red engine support bar? I picked that up yesterday at Harbor Freight for about $80. And once I'm done using it, I'm going to return it to Harbor Freight again since I bought it on credit. It's just going to be a one-time use because no auto parts store has this support bar to rent as a tool. Here's a better view of this front and bottom motor mount. See, it's all wiggling. That's not good. I had to remove plastic little skid plate or something, little cover, to get access to this. Man, this thing's a goner. Wow, look at that. This thing's completely gone. Okay, I'm gonna undo the other bolt here. Alright, first motor mount is out. what I'm gonna do is put some thread locker on these when I put the new motor mount back on. Notice how the bolt is shorter on top here, and then this longer one goes on the one on the back here. On this mount goes to the engine, and then this mounts to the chassis. There. You can see these are clearly different bolts, so don't mess that up. I'm gonna put these in here for now so I don't confuse myself. Okay. Alright. Okay, according to the diagrams in the service manual, you probably can't see that very well. So this front mount I took out from the bottom calls for torque spec of around 29 to 40 foot-pounds for both the front and then the rear bolt facing the engine. So I think a good middle point is 35 foot-pounds, and that's where I'll set my torque wrench to. And before I put the motor mounts, the new one on, I'll put some thread locker around the threads of the bolts to make sure they're secured tight. Here I have my torque wrench and set it to 35 foot-pounds with a 14mm socket, by the way. Okay, here's the new mount. I'm gonna tighten everything up now by torquing it to 35 foot-pounds. I don't know why it still feels loose, but I guess that's normal. Okay. It's torqued. Alright, first motor mount's done. I'm going to figure out which motor mount to do next. Okay, so I didn't film this part, but I had to get underneath the car and get my two hands around to take this old motor mount out from the back facing towards the firewall. So this is the old mount that came out. You can see it's completely gone and deteriorated. I dropped this nut in the engine bay and had to fish it out eventually using a little magnetic stick. The weird part is, this is the weirdest bolt I've ever seen. I thought it would be a metric head, but I don't even know what this is. But this goes on the top part of the engine support bracket. And I have the bottom bolt right here. So put this new one on and torque it to 35 foot-pounds. Okay, I think it's about an hour or so. I don't know. I do not keep track of time. But it took me a while to figure it out, but I finally put the other identical I-shaped motor mount in the back now. It's fully installed. Let me see if I can get a better angle of this with the light. Yeah, it's this one right here. See that? Yeah, with these two bolts. So both of them are torqued to 35 foot-pounds. Most of the time was spent underneath the car threading these bolts through the holes and lining them up and screwing them on, and took some time and patience to use the torque wrench to tighten them, and then finally click torque them down. See that bottom nut on the bottom is brand new because the other one, the original one's missing when I first got this car, so I bought a new one from Nissan dealership as a replacement. But the other hardware is still original. And this is on there pretty tight. No more flopping around though. So I think I'll stop for today and figure out what to do with the remaining 3 motor mounts tomorrow or some other day. At least I got started on it. Oh, I forgot to mention I had to take off part of the cover for the air cleaner assembly to get access to that mount in the back. So okay, it's the next day. I'm going to try to take this motor mount out. So for this particular motor mount, I think there's 4 bolts that come out. Here, 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 and through the rubber right here. And there's another hole here to mount a little bracket for the wires. Okay, first bolt's out. Set that down right there. Came off easier than I thought. No. Okay. Second bolt's out. Third bolt's out. Alright, final bolt's out. Okay, I'm trying to wiggle this out of here. Voila. There is the old engine mount. Oh, it's an old label. Oh wow, damn. So you can see on the old mount, this rubber here is completely collapsed. And there's cracks everywhere because it's dried. And here's the new mount. So this car was definitely overdue for a new change. Okay, it looks like there's these rubber bushings that go side by side on this particular mount, and this one's completely destroyed. Um, I'm gonna have a hell of a time finding replacement parts for this, but looks like I'm gonna have to run to the dealership or to a parts store to see if they have it. So I'm gonna do that first, run to the parts store before I put the new mount back in. Okay, it's another day at night again. I unfortunately was not able to locate that little rubber bushing. I drove to like 4 different places to find it. But anyway, I'm just putting on the passenger side engine mount regardless. It took me a while as in one day, but let's see. So there's the engine mount I'm putting in right now, and I was having a hard time lining up the holes for this bracket to the mount for the long bolt to go through. So I eventually had to make some adjustments with the height of this support bar, and I got like a little stubby screwdriver like this to help me guide it in, and I eventually got the nut on there. So because what happens is, as you can see on the old mount, so the mount is like this. It faces like this. This is how it's supposed to be on inside the engine bay. So notice how like on this side, it's just a hole, right? But on the other side, there's this little opening, a little nub right there, and that little opening has to line up with, I don't know if you can see it, but in this bracket, that little hole has to line up with the little piece of metal sticking out, for lack of a better explanation, so you can get it to mount. So what I'm going to do next is just torque down this middle long bolt and try to line up the remaining 3 bolts that bolt this bracket and mount to the car. And if you also notice, I had to remove the 2 screws and lift this fuse box out of this fuse/relay box out of the way with a bungee cord on the support bar, so I have more working room and access to do this side. Preferably I would use a thread locker, but I ran out, so this will have to do for now. Alright, let's torque down. Now for the remaining 3 bolts that bolt onto the car. Okay, I just finished hand threading the remaining 3 bolts that hold this mount to the frame of the car, the unibody frame of the car. So here's, oops, that's that one. That one right there. See that? Yeah, that one. And this one right here. So I'm going to finish tightening them and torquing them down to about like 35 foot-pounds. Let me lower this. Okay, first bolt's down. Okay, second bolt is torqued. Alright, final bolt for this mount is torqued. So, it's fully secured. Like I said, I cannot find that little rubber piece, so I may have to live without it for now until I can find it. For in an indefinite amount of time, who knows if I'll find that little 2-nipple bushing. But as far as the mount is concerned, it's fully on there. It's on there solid. I'll tell you, it's way much better than this old mount. See, which the rubber has completely collapsed. So I will call it a night, and I'll work on the other transmission mount tomorrow or whenever. Oh, one more thing I almost forgot. I will reinstall the relay / fuse panel here back on the car, and then I'll call it a night. Another day, another different evening. So here is the next motor mount / transmission mount that I'm going to try to remove and replace. So I think I'm going to remove this battery and then the battery tray out of the way to have more access and more working room to get that out of there. And by looking at the new mount, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total bolts to remove. Oh, I just noticed that this side of the mount has that little nub, so I need to pay attention to that too. Alright, got the long bolt out first. One important thing to note is that this long bolt is 14mm socket. However, the other bolts on the mount to the transmission are, whoopsies, I dropped the socket, but anyway, they're 15mm, just one little bigger. maybe I misspoke. Just this, you can see this middle bolt down here is a 15. Maybe the other ones are 14. Let's see. Yeah, that was my mistake. Okay. Okay, so maybe just one bolt in the middle is a 15, but the one on the bottom is a 14. Okay. Oh, well, that was easier than I thought. Okay. Switching to the ratcheting breaker bar. I think I'll run to Walmart to get some thread locker. Okay, second bolt is out. And I'm gonna put these bolts in the new mount so I know where they go. Just in case I don't lose them, because this is the original hardware. I do not want to lose them. I don't have the luxury of replacing them, financially speaking. Okay, I'm going to set this down on the floor. Okay, third bolt is out. This is a 14 millimeter, by the way. Okay, this one goes here. Okay, the second to last bolt that I am trying to remove, there's not enough clearance to use these cheater bars and sockets, so I'm getting creative and just using a 14 millimeter socket with this regular socket wrench. And I grabbed this from my jack. This will be my makeshift leverage. Go. Came off easier than I thought. Oops, dropped my little light. Ooh, almost dropped that. Alright, here's the, almost dropped that too, but here is the fourth bolt. Notice how it's a little longer than the others. And I will put this one here. Okay, let's take out the final bolt out of this engine mount. Man, that was easier than I thought. Okay. Motor mount one's about to fall out, so I'm going to use my other hand to hold on to catch it. Voila! Here's the final and longest bolt out of the engine, or transmission, excuse me. Here's the old mount. Looking at the initial condition of the rubber inside, it's not too bad. However, this is probably over 30 years old and there's lots of cracks and dry rotting forming in the rubber, so it is probably best to replace this anyway. Okay, I think I'm going to run to Walmart to get some more Loctite. Okay, I just came back from Walmart to get some more thread locker. Now I'm going to try to put this new motor mount back in the bracket. Let me figure this out off camera. Okay, one amateur rookie mistake I've made is not using an additional small jack to lift up the transmission itself, since there's nothing holding it with no bracket. So I'm gonna fine-tune this by lifting this up or down to make sure it's lined up with the holes on the motor mount, with corresponding with the threading holes on the transmission case itself. You can see as I turn this, the transmission moves up and down. So I'm going to have to fix this off camera. Okay, here I have some assistants that have arrived to help me torque down the bolts for this driver's side transmission mount.
But we're going to torque it to 35 foot-pounds.
That's correct, as specified in the service manual.
You feel it tightening?
No.
It feels like it's spun, huh? Is it spun?
Am I tripping? I don't think it's supposed to be doing this.
Let go of it and then feel. That's good. Okay. I think you're tight.
Okay, the second bolt is tight now, thanks to my assistant.
Why does this feel so loose? Damn, I genuinely don't think this is right.
Well, we have an unfortunate event. This big center bolt, it goes through right here. Yeah, it's cross-threaded. I am not very happy right now. My assistant was helping me tighten this, and we did not realize that it was being cross-threaded as we were trying to tighten it. So this is one little setback that I'm not happy about, but I'll try to be optimistic and see if the Nissan dealership or any auto parts stores may still supply this same bolt. And hopefully the threads on the inside of the transmission casing is not stripped or cross-threaded as well. So I'll just try to finish torquing down the other remaining two bolts and deal with this some other time. Not happy, but I guess this is a learning experience. At least that one's tight. So I checked the bolt on that one. I screwed up, like, no pun intended. It looks like the threads are okay on the bolt itself. But unfortunately, I think the threading on the inside of the transmission case is all messed up. So I may have to take this up with my mechanic, see if he can help me out with that. But I'm just going to finish torquing down the remaining bolts on this mount. Alright. Well, at least all the other bolts are tightened. I'm still trying to be optimistic, even though I messed up right here. Well, I'm going to try not to worry about it tonight. I'll call it quits. I'm going to clean up and figure out what to do tomorrow, see if I can, I don't know. Well, there's not much I can do until I have to take this to my mechanic to see if they can help me rethread the inside of the transmission casing. Well, that's going to have to be for another day, but for the most part it's on here. Solid. Okay, it's the next day. Hopefully this will be the last day so I can finish this up. But I'm going to replace the last motor mount, which will probably might be the most difficult. It is located right here, and it extends all the way to back here. So I'm underneath the car now, and it looks like this cross member needs to be removed in order to get access to this motor mount. It looks like there's two, I think these are two 17mm bolts on the front. And if I move further down with my creeper, there's one long central bolt going through the rubber here on this mount, and see two more under here, one more right there, and last one is, there is another bolt around here around this exhaust hanger by the exhaust pipe. So there's really not much to film. I have to do this off camera maybe, but I'll definitely try to show the results once I'm done removing it, and hopefully it all goes well and I'm not gonna cross thread or strip any more bolts, hopefully. And I tried to find torque specs for this cross member in the service manual, but I could not find any information about this, so I guess I'm just gonna have to hand tighten this as much as I can with my long breaker bar on the floor. Alright, we'll get to it. I almost forgot this plastic shield needs to come out too first. Okay, here is the center cross member from the undercarriage of the car removed. Guess it wasn't as bad as I thought. It's basically four main bolts and nuts holding it all together. One interesting observation to note is this little rubber piece insulator has a hole, and it has, and then the old mount has right there, it has this little piece of metal sticking out and it goes in like this. Kind of like that. But however, my replacement mount does not have that. This thing sticking out on the bottom for it to stay in place. So, well, I guess I'll just get creative and put some tape on or something to make sure it stays in place. Alright, I'm gonna remove the main bolts off of this. Okay, it is several hours later, and finally have the last replacement motor mount installed. It's later now because, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, this new mount's missing that metal pole, and I tried driving to Los Angeles at an auto parts store to find another one for sale that might have that metal pole, but it turned out they didn't, so I wasted about 3 hours of my life sitting in traffic, going back and forth, until I just decided just to be like, screw it, I'll just use this. So, I had a lot of trouble trying to get the bracket of this mount to line up with the holes that you see here with these 3 main bolts. This one, and this one. And that took me quite a few hours to get that sorted out. It's not fun, because I was pretty scared of like stripping the threads again like I did last night. So I was trying to be really careful. So all that's left is to torque these down to spec at 35 foot-pounds. These 3 bolts and the long center bolt going through the rubber of the mount. And then I'll put the rubber exhaust hanger back on with the special 12mm bolt. And then I will clean up the cross member and put it back on, and find a way to get that rubber insulator to stay on the bottom of this mount. Good to go. Okay, I torqued the bolts on the last motor mount. I unfortunately stripped another bolt again, which is not happy. Not the result that I want. It's this exhaust hanger bolt there, but oh well. At least it's not a crucial part. It's in there, but it's not really in there. I guess I'll just use a zip tie, or I'll ask my mechanic if he can do something too. But other than that, I've been crawling underneath this car for a few hours now. I'm feeling tired already. But I got this center cross member cleaned up.
and I will reuse this rubber bushing on the bottom and put that back on, and I should be done. That should be about it. And then I'll clean up and put the car back down on the ground. Okay, it's past 1 o'clock now, and I'm really tired, but everything's done. I apologize if I didn't get to film much when I was working underneath, because I can't like film and work on the car at the same time, you know. But hope you find this information helpful in some way. If you have any questions, please leave me your feedback in the comments of the video, and I would appreciate it, and share this with anyone you like. Alrighty, this is good night.
Thank you for watching.